Hello guys, welcome to Sierra Nevada.
This year, for something different, we decided to take our annual ski holiday in the Sierra Nevada mountains of southern Spain. It was the first time we'd ever been there. We've been to the Alps and the Pyrenees a number of times. So I thought we'd put this video together to give you a slightly better idea of what our experience was like and what the Sierra Nevada is like as a ski experience in general, particularly for families. To get to the Sierra Nevada, we flew to Malaga, as there are more flights and it's cheaper than flying to Granada. We hired a car from the airport and it was a 2.5-hour drive on the Saturday afternoon up to the Sierra Nevada ski resort. There are huge amounts of traffic driving up to the resort on Friday evenings and Saturday mornings as the locals arrive for the weekend. However, on Saturday afternoon we got straight up the mountain with no delays. We hired skis and boots for the kids from the ski hire shop next to our apartments. The shop was run by Jose and Sharon, who were absolutely fantastic, really friendly, really helpful. We also found out that if you contact them a couple of weeks in advance of your holiday, they can organise discounts on the ski pass cost and also provide ski lessons and snowboard lessons. Not knowing this, unfortunately, we paid the full price for a family pass, so that was 2 adults and 2 children for 6 days, and that cost us just under €1,000, which is still pretty reasonable compared to other similar sized resorts elsewhere in Europe. As a result of the amount of weekend visitors, the slopes and lifts are extremely busy on Saturdays and Sundays. However, the rest of the week, the slopes were mostly empty, and we went on UK February half-term week, which is usually one of the busiest weeks elsewhere in Europe. And we enjoyed a lot of empty slopes and minimal queuing for lifts on Monday to Friday. The skiing was generally good. There's 150 kilometres or so of runs, and the majority of these were open. But there's loads of really good wide blue and red runs, and we definitely didn't get bored with the runs at all over the week. To get up the mountain from the village, there's 2 gondolas and a chairlift from the town centre. There's also a small chairlift to get to and from the town centre if you're staying higher up in the village. There were really big queues for these lifts on Saturday and Sunday mornings, but through the week there was no queues at all. We were staying a minute's walk from the halfway station on the mini chairlift through the town, and we actually accessed the slopes by walking a further 50 metres down to the Meribel Hotel, which is on the edge of one of the pistes, and then skiing down 100 metres or so to the lifts in the town centre. There are 2 main areas on the mountain. The main ski area, where all the nursery slopes and so on are, and then also over the other side of the mountain, a big bowl called Laguna. Laguna is definitely quieter, but the runs are mainly steep red runs, and it tended to be affected by the cloud more. So here we are at the top of the highest peak in the Sierra Nevada, and we're going to ski across and go on the Laguna runs, which are a load of red runs off the top of here. The view from up here is absolutely incredible, and worth coming up here just for that. The main ski area is also where you'll find the nursery slopes and the meeting areas for lessons. The nursery slopes are definitely the busiest slopes during the week, but the queues were never particularly horrendous. To get back down to the village, there's 3 blue runs and a red run. You can get back from the main meeting point area in a few minutes for good skiers, and not much longer for less experienced skiers. Or obviously you can get either of the 2 gondolas back down. We really enjoyed the Guila Red Run, which takes you from the top of the mountain, round the back of the resort and down past the top of the village, back to the main lifts. It was generally empty and had some of the most spectacular views in the ski area. In fact, the incredible views from the mountain definitely make Sierra Nevada a place to visit. Unlike the Alps, it's essentially one huge mountain rising from the plain around Granada, and the resort itself is around 2,000 metres, with the highest peak up at around 3,500 metres. On a clear day, you can see for miles, and it really feels like you're on top of the world. As the mountain is quite exposed to winds, some of the slopes can get quite icy in the morning, but softened up quite a bit in the afternoon. The pistes were very well maintained, and there's snow cannons everywhere, so if there's a lack of snow, there's artificial snow to ski on. You can tell that they're definitely used to dealing with less snow and managing the snow they have very well. We had a mixed bag of weather, a couple of sunny days, some cloud, and the resort completely shut on Friday afternoon due to high winds. Although it did snow the week before we were there, and actually also the week after, there wasn't enough snow for any off-piste skiing the week we went. Although Sierra Nevada is generally more sunny than resorts further north, it can also get very cold when the weather gets cloudy. The mountain is very exposed and above the tree line, and the weather can change really quickly, and it was noticeably cold at night. One of the quite crazy things about skiing up here is the observatories and the satellite dish. Definitely something that you don't really ski past on a very regular basis elsewhere. The locals were generally really friendly, and I had a good few conversations on lifts and got invited to ski with a couple of people. There's also noticeably less drinking on the slopes compared to what you'd sometimes get in other countries. There's not really any on-piste bars or restaurants in the same way as you get in other resorts. The main ski area at the top of the gondolas is where the main restaurants are located up the mountain. The main restaurants served a good variety of food at reasonable prices. It could be quite challenging though to find a seat at lunchtime. There's loads of restaurants and bars in the village to eat at, and it's quite easy to get back down to the village for lunch as well, and there's a good variety of different food to be had. Our favourite lunch options were the taco bar in the main restaurant at the top of the mountain, a burger van just off the main slope halfway down the village next to the Meribale Hotel that served really good quality burgers and fries to the terrace of the hotel itself. And in the evening, the nicest place we ate all week was Tito's Tapas Bar. This isn't just a typical Spanish tapas bar, it serves Spanish and Asian fusion dishes of a really high quality, and the staff there were really friendly. The kids also particularly like the churros from the bakery in the town centre. To get up and down the village on foot, there's a number of staircases giving you shortcuts rather than following the road round. In the day though, the chairlift is a slightly more relaxing prospect. On our drive back to Malaga for the flight home, we stopped off in Granada for a couple of hours to grab some food and do a quick bit of sightseeing. So one of the most interesting things about skiing in Sierra Nevada is we left less than an hour ago, and now we're in the cathedral in the centre of Granada. The drive back down the mountain to Granada took approximately 40 minutes, and we had a nice little look around the cathedral and had some amazing tapas in a traditional tapas bar. And then we did a quick walk up through the old town to get a view of the Alhambra before we left. The actual drive back to Malaga from Granada took just over 2 hours via the nice scenic coastal route. We really enjoyed our stay in the Sierra Nevada and enjoyed also the relaxed vibe that it had. Best of all, the cost was significantly less than elsewhere in Europe, and the slopes were mostly empty even in the half-term week in February. Along with the amazing views and the skiing itself, we had a really nice holiday. Next time, we intend to take an extra day and spend a little bit more time in Granada. I hope you enjoyed this video and it gave you a bit of useful information. I'd thoroughly recommend at least one visit to Sierra Nevada. The skiing's good, it's a bit different, the vibe's nice and relaxed, and the views are absolutely incredible.